Hi, and welcome back to It's Whatever, Right? Podcast. I'm your host, Jen, and today's podcast is about veganism. I find this a strong topic for me because I've been vegan off and on for the past 5 or 6 years now. Majority of this time, I have been vegan. In the beginning of this journey, it was a struggle for me to give up things and to stick to it. Would that be bad to say? Yeah. So, just for a warning for on this topic of veganism, it is kind of a trigger warning, and just want to point out that I'm not saying, oh, you must be vegan, or preaching, or saying, hey, look at me, I'm doing so good with the planet and my body, blah, 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 blah. I just want to point out this is just my point of view on how I see the world and how I see veganism suits my lifestyle. I became vegan for a couple of reasons, really. One reason I became vegan is that I've always been more of a vegetarian growing up, not really much of a meat eater. I've always enjoyed my fruits and vegetables, so it was kind of easy in that aspect for me to be vegetarian and stick to a good plant-based diet that way. But for so going completely vegan really wasn't that hard, really, because I was practically already there. And when I became in my 20s, lived on my own, I didn't have to, not like this is an excuse or anything. It is, but it isn't an excuse. But when I moved out, I was able to buy my own food. I didn't have to listen to parents' rules or anything. I was doing all the groceries and my money, my food, enough said. So that was an easy way. And as a teenager, another reason I became vegan, and I didn't realize this at the time, as a teenager and in my early 20s, I had a really, really bad acne, and the doctor prescribed me medication for it. She put me on birth control. It helped to a degree, but it never really cleared it up. She just gave me drugs to help with my acne, and it didn't really work out the greatest. And my friend, she had became vegan, completely vegan a little bit before I did. And she told me she did her research on veganism, and she told me, hey, try veganism because all the chemicals and all the hormones that the animals are being injected with, just so that with all these hormones and all these antibiotics that the animals and the cows and pigs and chickens are being injected with, makes it so that the dairy products such as milk and cheese and eggs, they're addictive, and all the hormones that these animals are eating and being injected with, and now you're ingesting it, which doesn't very help you much at all, which explains why, to me, I had bad acne, so which explained there, and always feeling bloated and some extra weight. Mind you, side note, just because you're vegan doesn't mean you're going to be 90 pounds soaking wet. That's not the case. You can be vegan and you can be overweight. Tip for you, you can have bread and pastas and takeout and cake and junk food just like everybody else. Cake and cookies and brownies are all made. You can make it without animals. You do not need dairy products in order to make these things. So, back on track. So, I did my own research on dairy products, and I did watch a couple of documentaries on how animals are treated in farms. Mind you, there are kosher farms where the animals are treated really good, where the farmers don't abuse them, they feed them properly, and no hormones, no nothing. They just die naturally, which is all for it. If that's how you eat kosher, good for you. But majority of the animals are abused and neglected and pumped with hormones and antibiotics in order to make them big, fat, and juicy for you to eat. So as I did my research and watched documentaries, I realized that's not just to get a piece of meat on your dinner table so you can eat. No, you can still get all your nutrients, all of your iron and your calcium and proteins in other forms. You don't necessarily need to eat a cow to get these products. So after doing research, I had slowly switched off of, it was hard, but switched off of dairy products like cheeses and dairy milk and eggs. And after the first year or two, I noticed a big change in my skin and noticed that my acne had cleared up a lot. And this is after I had stopped eating dairy products, no animal products completely, no meat, no dairy, no eggs, no fish, anything. And I noticed a big change in my skin appearance. And I also noticed at first I did lose a ton of weight, mostly because my body is now in shock because I'm no longer getting all those antibiotics and all of those hormones that were pumped in the food that I was eating, and just eating strictly a plant-based diet. And then after a while, I started experimenting and found that I could still have takeout food, and more places were popping up for vegan restaurants and vegan friendly options, and you can make everything in vegan. Surprise! And at the same time, I did also notice that it's been 6 years now, that I've not really been sick. I got maybe sniffles and a cough and a sore throat, but not physically laid up in bed for a week sick after being vegan, which has me concerned on what is being pumped into these animals to get sick. It's a wonder there. But those are just two of the ethical and two reasons why I became vegan. One, ethical, because it's not fair for the animal to be stuck in a dark, secluded, overpopulated factory just for you to eat it. And it did help me with managing my weight and clearing up all of my acne. So, which is fantastic because I did struggle for a long time with finding a way to clear up my acne, and it turns out that what you eat is what you are. It's funny to say, but what you eat does have a large factor of it shows on your body in many different ways. If you don't take care of your body, then your body isn't going to take care of you. And it starts down on what you eat. If you eat a well-balanced diet, then you treat your body good, then your body will treat you well in the present and the future. So, in the other reason that I'm still doing research on veganism, even though I have been vegan for many years now, is that really, a human isn't supposed to eat animal products to begin with because we do not have the teeth, nor do we have the digestive tract to consume such products. Before, some say and argue that, we've been eating meat since like the dawn of time. Well, no, we have not. Man, the beginning of time, was eating berries and seeds. It just so happened that man was just like, I wonder what this behemoth will taste like. And ended up taking the behemoth down, killing it, and roasting it, and fast forward thousands of years, is now cow on your fucking dinner plate. So you can fuck off at that point. But at the end of the day, you will notice that we do not have the teeth to begin with. To start with your teeth, because that's where food starts, is in your mouth. We do not have the teeth to break down into food. You argue, well, we do have our canines to help. Those are the 4 teeth to help bite through meat. No. You will notice that we have similar teeth to cows. And those 4 canines are supposed to help with us getting through harder vegetables like celery and carrots. And we don't have the saliva that we have is supposed to help break down some of the harder fruits and veggies to be able to go down to our digestive tract. And for our stomachs and our intestines, again, they're not designed to break down meat. Did you know, fun fact, that meat takes days to be able to, for you to break it down and consume it into your body for nutrients? As per fruits and vegetables, they do go through your system a lot more because it is easier for your digestive tract to break it down and to consume all of the nutrients. And if you eat the proper, just like any diet, if you eat the proper fruits and veggies and the proper grains, and you will be able to consume enough nutrients to promote health and being. And side note, you argue we don't have enough nutrients, blah, blah, blah. In any diet, if you are a vegetarian, a vegan, omnivore, or you just straight up eat meat, in any diet, anybody and everybody is accessible to becoming anemic. It's not just a vegetarian or a vegan thing. Anybody can be anemic. And even in today, after doing my research on veganism and what fruits and veggies and what grains and seeds and what nuts and berries are good for the body. Now, every body is completely different. Mine is different than yours. My body needs more or less of one thing than yours. That's where anemic comes into play, because what works in my body may not work in yours. And that is even today at 26 and vegan for the last 6 years. I'm still learning that, where how to eat the proper foods to promote good health and be nutritious and healthy. I believe that in good health, you can improve a lot. And the fact that you don't need to consume animals to enjoy and nourish your body and live a great, healthy life. To be honest, with being vegan, this took me a while to understand. I'm still trying to understand my body and what my body needs on a day-to-day basis in order to stay fit and healthy. I personally live a busy lifestyle, trying to juggle 2 jobs, a social life, and trying to juggle a creative world where I can be an artist at home. Trying to juggle all of that does come to a strain on the body, but it all starts with how healthy is your body. And if you are, like I said earlier, if you treat your body well, if you exercise regularly, eat a healthy diet, it will go a long way. If you take care of your body first, your body and your mind and your body will take care of you to help you keep going, to go further in your life. Now, this is just my opinion, and if you don't like this opinion, you can go fuck yourself, that everybody is capable of being vegan. It's just the matter of fact of being open-minded to everything and knowing the amount of sugars and carbs and vitamins, minerals, proteins, and whatnot for your specific body needs. It does always help. And anyways, it took me forever to figure this out and tailor around that. Now, I have said that, and I don't believe I am missing on things, because since veganism is becoming a bigger thing now, there's a lot of alternative versions of milk, like cashew and almond, and different kinds of nut cheeses. And once I found out the right cheese, it's so addicting. And which is vegan. There are vegan cheeses, as I said, and the fact that I'm still able to have ice cream, and there's vegan versions of that, and vegan versions of burgers, and vegan version of pizza and other fast food, which is a bigger challenge now, because it's so easy to go back in the old habit of just ordering a pizza instead of physically making a healthy, well-balanced meal. So, to me, I found that at the end of the day, doing my research on veganism, it really isn't that hard because once you do your research and realize it's simply switching to vegan and switching from a non-vegan to a vegan product turns out to just be the same. Well, in all my science projects, since that taking a non-vegan recipe and doing some scientific project to make it vegan, does that make me a scientist now? Fascinating. That's an interesting question there. Am I a scientist? I find that I get this a lot with people where they have a false expectation to being vegan because, like I said earlier, on in the podcast, I'm not really missing out on foods like junk food and the different recipes that are out there. Most people, they have a false expectation of where we eat like rabbit food. And that's not the case at all. We can still enjoy normal, healthy foods. Like I had mentioned earlier, we can still have cereal and pancakes and waffles, and we eat more than just salad. Yes, in my personal diet, I do eat a lot of salad, but it's not made out of grass. Sorry to burst your bubble, people, but we do eat more than just grass. Expectations that people think of vegans is that because we're vegan, we should be a stick thin, 90-pound soaking wet human being. Well, fuck you. No, have you seen me? I'm not even coming close to being a stick. Not even fucking close. That's not how it works, and that's how it will never work. You can be a omnivore and eat meat and dairy products, and you can be 90 fucking pounds. You can also be a vegan and be 90 fucking pounds. You can be at any diet and be 90 fucking pounds. Like, that's not just because you're a vegan doesn't mean that you're going to be stick thin and all you eat is carrots and celery. Well, newsflash for you people, you can't live off of fucking carrots and fucking celery. There's more freaking food than two fucking objects. 2 foods. There's more than that. Sorry to burst your fucking bubble. And did I also mention that cake is fucking delicious. It's wonderful. And cupcakes. There's also a really amazing place called the Donut Monster downtown. Fan-fucking-tastic. Also, at the same time, just because you're vegan does not mean that you're the most healthiest fucking person on the planet. As I just mentioned, donuts and cake. So piss off with your vegans should be 90 pounds, and if you are not 90 pounds and you are kind of chubby, you're not doing veganism properly, which is another thing I have heard before. The fuck is that supposed to mean? Like being an omnivore, carnivore, vegetarian, I really don't have an answer to if it's good or bad for you. In my opinion, in a imaginary world where everybody is vegan and the world is better and there's no more fucking poverty and everybody is well fed and all of the cute little piggies ain't dying in fucking farms and baby cows aren't being stolen from their moms and to make them into fucking veal, you monsters. But even with that said, just because what you eat, being an omnivore, carnivore, vegetarian, nothing like there's no which diet is better for you, which diet is better for you and which diet is worse for you, because at the end of the day, if you all you eat is shit, you're going to feel like shit. And another thing I've always heard over the years is that if you're vegan, that means you ain't getting enough supplements in your diet and you need to take pills to regulate everything. No, that is not true at all. There are some people who do need more iron, protein, or calcium in their diet than others. And even if you are a carnivore, some of those people do take supplements, and some people, being vegan, you don't necessarily need supplements, but there are some people who do need an extra boost. But that's not the case for everything. And another question I get bombarded with is that what happens if the whole world, so all 7 billion of us people became vegan? Would it be better or for worse? This is a tough answer for me because I feel like the whole world if everybody became vegan, it would be fantastic because there would, like I just said, there'd be less pollution because there won't be any factories to pollute the planet, to harvest all these animals, and then to send them for packaging and then ship them off to your local stores. There would be, if everybody was vegan, that means that there would be less to no harm in abusing animals, also means less dumping in the waters in the earth. The worst part of this would be a lot of people will lose their jobs because the factories would close down, but those factories would still be there but empty, which would suck. But then we could always just, maybe in my imagination, just reuse and recycle the factory and make it something better. But with everybody gone vegan, this would mean that there would be new jobs for people. I believe farming would be a booming because now we would need to grow more fruits and veggies, and this would mean people will need clean water. Water would be cleaner and there would be more water because we would use less water and less materials for our food industry because we don't need as much product to make product, if that makes sense. And I don't think it would be a problem in becoming overpopulated with the animals, or they would become extinct, because the only reason why there are a lot of chickens and cows and pigs is because man, as humans, we overpopulate these species, and it's like they're in demand, high in demand, so you need to be able to produce an X amount of product to satisfy its consumer. So no, I don't think that if everybody became vegan, I don't think the planet would be overcome with pigs and cows or chickens at all. I think that it wouldn't be a problem at all. And, like, humans are the problem, not the animal. The animal, it can't fend for themselves because humans are assholes. With that said, this is just my opinion on veganism and some of the things I've heard over the years, like, oh, you are too chubby to be vegan, you're not getting enough nutrients, you need animals. We're always supposed to have meat, but none of those are necessarily true. With that said and done, I'm always open for new ideas and discussions, topics you have and would like to hear on the next podcast. Thank you for listening, and if you're new, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. Please share and tell your friends so they could have the same magical experience as you did, or don't. It's whatever, right? Till next time, have a good night and bye.